counts we don't hit pause. I stay in shock. So fantastic. Give you a brief word from on some resources from one of our sponsors, After School Labs. Gary, please take it away.
Hello, NSLA community. I'm Gary, and I'm so excited to be here with you today for the Summer Planning Bootcamp. Right now, I know you're deep in the trenches of finalizing your summer programs. You're trying to figure out schedules, curriculum, logistics, and honestly, the pressure to deliver an incredible experience for families and students is massive. That's exactly why we built After School Labs. We partner with program directors like you to take the heavy lifting out of summer education pathways. Because our programming and curriculum are built by educators, we know exactly what it takes to succeed on the ground. We focus on targeted enrichment that's driven by district data to ensure your programs are as effective and impactful as possible. The result is a high quality, engaging program that students love and that your team can actually execute without burning out. You can see everything that we do to support your sites at helloafterschool.com. Now, of course, to bring any amazing program to life, you need great people. And we know that finding reliable, qualified staff, especially for ELOP providers, is harder than ever. That's why I'm also thrilled to introduce to you our partner organization, SPUR. SPUR provides dedicated staffing services specifically for programs that are struggling to fill roles. If you are looking at your summer roster right now and sweating over empty slots, SPUR is your lifeline to get fully staffed. You can see how we help fill those gaps at spureducation.com. You don't have to build your summer in a silo, and you definitely don't have to scramble for staff alone. Take a look at the resource toolkit right here in the bootcamp. We've dropped links in there for both After School Labs for your programming needs and SPUR for your staffing needs. Click on those links, reach out, and let's talk about how we can make this your smoothest summer yet. I want to thank each of you for all the incredible work you do for the students in our communities. Have a fantastic boot camp, and let's make this a great summer.
Thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you again, After School Labs, for being a sponsor, but more importantly, being a partner. So we appreciate you. All the work that they've done in the great state of Alabama. The work is incredible. And so I had the honor and privilege of seeing it with my own eyes. Uh, Trust me on that one. The work that they do in Alabama is incredible. So we appreciate you. And now they're going national. So check them out in the resource toolkit. For our next segment, leveraging research and data. And in a little bit, you'll learn why this is actually quite ironic that I'm smiling and geeking out over these terms, research and data, because it wasn't always like that, but we'll get there. I'm going to make a shift from host to panelist. And so give a warm welcome to our moderator, Christina Russell. She's the lead for the National Summer Learning Association's Research, Evidence, and Practice Professional Learning Community, and a principal at Policy Studies Associates, and also a sister from another mother. Christina, please, the stage is yours.
Right. Thank you so much, Brodrick, for that introduction. Always glad to partner with NSLA. So in this segment, we're going to focus on how summer programs can both use existing research and collect new data to explain their approach and tell their story to funders and other stakeholders so that you too can become award-winning programs like those we just heard from. I want to start with acknowledging that we know that sometimes data and research feel like something you have to do, not something necessarily that you want to do. But what our panelists today are going to do is share some practical tools, resources, and strategies to help programs understand how data and research can really be helpful and relevant to programs. We'll talk about how to use data for program design and planning, continuous improvement, and how to communicate your impact to funders as well as to other stakeholders in your communities. So today I'm excited to be joined by three expert panelists. We have Gil Noam, who's a professor at Harvard Medical School and the chair of PEAR. Katie Willse as Senior Consultant at the Learning Agenda, and Brodrick Clarke, who you all know, our Vice President and Programs and Systems Quality for NSLA. So the way we're going to do this session is we're going to have each of our panelists kind of share some resources and some advice in a little bit more depth, but mostly sharing some resources to help you take away from this session. And we're going to start with Katie, talking about really using evidence to ground programs. How do you use existing research and bring that into your programs? We talk a lot about summer programs being evidence-based when planning or making the case. So tell us a little bit about the advice that you have for how leaders can find and use that existing research design programs.
Great, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're coming from. I'm so happy to be here today. Christina, thank you for the introduction. Really excited to be on this discussion with Gil and Brodrick. As part of my work at the Learning Agenda, we work very closely with the Willse Foundation to help share research on summer learning and kind of translate all that research into really specific, clear, tactical recommendations for program leaders. And if you had told me 15 years ago that this would be something I'd be doing today, I would have literally never believed you. My roots are as a practitioner and a program provider, mainly working in community-based programs, sometimes working in partnership with school districts. And in those days, I was really intimidated by research and thinking about data. And so when I say that part of my work now is about helping translate data, I use that word translate really intentionally because back in the day, it felt to me like research was literally another language that I didn't understand and I couldn't speak. And I feel that way at times still today. I'm not a researcher, but I am a applied researcher nerd. I love to think about like the so what of studies. What can we draw from research to understand the implications and the opportunities for what we're doing as practitioners and providers? And the goal in my work is really to give very specific, concrete, tactical practices that program leaders can use and to be able to access that quickly and easily because we know youth development work and program work is so busy and we have to move fast. So it should be easy for you to learn what works and think about how to apply that into your own program. And so the good news is that there is so much that you can build on already. So I'm going to just pull up a slide. I've got 2 or 3 that I'm going to share. Christina, can you just give me a thumbs up that you're seeing the slide? Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So there's a great foundation for summer learning research that has been turned into the exact type of applied research nuggets and ready-made tools that I want to help make available to you all. And the good news is there's great resources, free resources available through the Summer Learning Toolkit. Thanks to Tiffany for the shout out about the toolkit. So glad to hear that that has been a valuable resource for your work in Philadelphia and the summer planning calendar in particular. I was happy to be a part of helping to create this resource. All of this comes from the National Summer Learning Project. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. High level, if you haven't heard of it before. This is a 6-year initiative that was led by Willse and their partners, and they really set out to do 2 things. They wanted to understand, first of all, can programs that are led by school districts and their partners in the summer that are voluntary-based, can those have an impact on student outcomes during the school year? And if they can, what does it take to be successful? And they worked very closely with RAND to do a randomized control trial study. So that is the best gold standard study that you could do. And if you aren't familiar with the NSLP, the spoiler is they found that the programs did in fact lead to meaningful outcomes for students, particularly if those students attended 20 days or more in the summer. And so that was their first question. Can these programs make a difference? The answer was yes. To answer that second question, what it takes to be successful, RAND drew on an incredible amount of research that they gathered during these 6 years to really look at what are those key levers that make a difference in the planning and the design of your program. And these were school-based programs, but these recommendations and the guidance, they apply across the board, whether you're running programs through community nonprofits, working in schools, faith-based community, at libraries, you're going to find yourself in these recommendations. There's a series of reports. They culminate in this Getting to Work on Summer Learning. You can access it. What I love about this report as a practitioner is that it is so clear and direct what the recommendations are for your programs. So really encourage you to check that out. Their guidance can be rolled up into kind of these 8 key practices. And so when you're talking about your programs, when you're building relationships with funders or stakeholders or partners, it can really make a big difference if you're able to talk about the fact that you know that there's research on what works in summer learning and that your program is aligned with some of those best practices and strategies. And so depending on your kind of model and your approach, here are just a couple of things that you could talk about in terms of your program. The first is like, when do you start planning? RAND's most emphatic recommendation is to start planning early. So if you're debriefing at the end of the summer, that's already kicking off for your planning for next year. Maybe you start 6 months ahead or 9 months ahead, but talk about your planning process and how you're being intentional and giving time to it. And that is evidence-based. If you're offering academic activities in the summer, talk about how you're structuring the program to have meaningful time for learning. RAND recommends about 3 hours of instructional time in the summer can really help move the needle for students. So talk about your program day and how you provide that time, but also how are you making sure you're getting the best staff so that you have high quality instruction happening throughout the day, that you have staff with relevant experience, that you're training them so that they know how to lead really active and engaging activities for students in the summer. Another example could be about how you're recruiting and you're retaining your students in the summer. We know we got to get the right kids into our program and that we want them to attend regularly so they can benefit. RAND really emphasizes the importance of relationships in your outreach and recruitment, personalized, targeted outreach. So talk about that. How are you building relationships with families? How are you staying in ongoing communication before the summer starts so they know what to expect? And how are you staying connected throughout the summer so that their students are coming every day? So think about some of those strategies and how you can talk about the practices you have. And then I loved hearing from the panelists before about the special sauce of their program. So exciting to hear. And we know for many of you, and in the summer, that special sauce is about the culture that you're creating through program themes and rituals and traditions. All of these things are evidence-based. RAND found that programs that have that kind of warm, supportive, inclusive environment have higher student engagement and attendance, which means kids are there to benefit from what you're doing with them. So all of these are examples of how your program is evidence aligned. So the takeaway is really check out this report, check out the resources, and find ways to connect what you're doing to this great study. So here's the Willse Foundation Summer Learning Toolkit. It's going to be dropped in the chat too already if it hasn't been yet. We were excited to help develop this resource. There's over 50 evidence-aligned customizable tools, including that calendar, as well as examples coming from the National Summer Learning Project districts. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're looking for job descriptions or looking for an observation tool to use in your program, check it out because there's going to be great examples for you there. Excited to answer questions in the chat. Thanks, Christina.
Thanks, Katie. I loved hearing about how you can really draw on that existing research and existing evidence to make the case and some of those really clear examples to not reinvent the wheel, but to build on what existing. So we're going to move next to Gil and to talk about, if you're not using that existing research, but you're collecting your own, what are some of those tools that exist and that are out there? We know collecting data can be overwhelming, but there's a lot of different tools and platforms that are out there to make this easier. So we're going to give a really short overview. We'll drop lots of resources in the chat. But Gil, let's see if you have 2 minutes to give kind of the quick level overview of some of the assessment tools that PEAR has created to help programs. And I know it's going to be really quick to go into this, but we'll put the resources in the chat and take about 2 minutes to do collecting data.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you yet.
Yeah, can someone, because when I say start my video, oh, there we are. Perfect. By the way, I thought we all had 3 minutes. Now it's reduced to 2 minutes for something that has to be 5 minutes. So it's kind of hard to do this as fast as you say you want it, but I will try my best. Hello, everyone. Like everyone else said, I really love being here. NSLA is an amazing organization, and anything I can do to help the organization grow and to be part of it is what I love to do. Um, I'm not going to, in 2 minutes, be able to give you all the resources that exist. I think there are a couple of bigger issues that I want to address. The first one is that when we think about data, we often think about expense and that evaluations are extremely expensive to perform. And I don't think that has to be. I think we're now at a place where big data is kind of here to stay, and that we can actually support programs, summer programs across the US to be able to have data that we call living data that can be used for management, but can also be used for reporting back to the boards, to your boards, to report back to funders and foundations, that we really are at a place of great possibility. And this is with AI or without AI. It's not that important. It's really just the data system. And what I can describe to you is that we feel like we can, for $5,000, for $10,000, really create a full-blown kind of evaluation, not kind of large, not a huge one, but one that actually used to cost $30,000 or $50,000. Really, the price is coming down, and we can actually make that available to you. And I think if we, as a community, an NSLA-led community, come together and say, let's do this in a number of different summer programs, we can even bring the data together and have a report for the field, not only for individual programs. So what that means concretely is that PEAR, Partnerships in Education and Resiliency, the organization that I am affiliated with, has created a system to collect data, pull it into the data system, and then come out with reports that can actually be brought to you within a very short period of time. So if the summer program is finished, a few weeks later or a month later, we can actually produce a report for you that you can then use for what you need. Now, in terms of the measurement, and then I will kind of wrap up, in terms of the measurement, it's important that all the instruments that we use have been validated. I think we as a field need to have open access to instruments that really are meaningfully developed and have been published and can actually be viewed by the peer review system. So as you work with us, if you work with us, you will work with assessments that are solid, where you can actually say, okay, we have something that we can report back. And the reports are often kind of in a way that you will have results that are in the socio-emotional domain, in the domain of activities, and in the domain of STEM. So all of that together, if I could share with you for 1 second, one slide, that would be great. We have an evaluation that you can see here, we call Spark, which is a visualization. It includes the assessment package. It has an infographic that provides a bunch of takeaways and concise descriptions. And it's ideal for pilot programs, organizations, with new to evaluations. It's for grant and fundraising efforts, especially, which we think is so important, and stakeholder reporting. It is very affordable, and we are going to, in order to kind of really make this happen fast, we are going to have a special rate for, and I'm not in the business side of things, I do the kind of the research on the measures, especially, but I think we have a chance here to work with you through NSLA. And NSLA is very supportive because NSLA also wants programs to have the data that they can also use then both for grants and for boards, but also for program kind of making programs stronger. And in this way, that's the last sentence I'm going to say, it connects to the guide that PEAR created for NSLA, the program guide, which has a chapter on evaluation. And so this is our way to then make it practical to go from the guide to a very concrete thing one can do in order to get you the data that hopefully will make your work better, stronger, and especially more funded. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gil. And I know that Bailey put some of those resources that Gil was referring to in the chat. And that was actually a great setup for segue for our next segment. So Brodrick, I'm going to turn it back to you and tell us how you use that Destination Summer Learning Guide for continuous improvement and telling the Summer of Impact. And you're going to do the short version too, because I know there's so many resources in Destination Summer Learning. It's been mentioned a few times, but what's the 2-minute version of using it for continuous improvement?
Totally. I'm going to follow one of my mentors, Gil. I appreciate you, brother. Did you see what just happened? He's like an OG Avenger. Just straight, 2 minutes. That was 2 minutes. But, he made it happen. So I'm going to do it in 2 minutes or less, following one of my great mentors, Dr. Gil Noam. So to be honest, to keep it really short, I had to grow up in the field of youth development. And originally, when my directors used to ask me for data, it used to annoy me because I never saw it. It went into this data black hole. And I didn't really understand what my relationship could be with data and then of course I grew up after a couple of years in the field and learned that data is my friend. Data gives me an opportunity to actually be more intentional, because that is really the secret sauce in positive youth development, being intentional. We just don't do stuff willy-nilly. And we have tools out there to tell a brand new practitioner not necessarily the how to do, but the what to do, right? There's a reason why we say that young people identify strongly with programs, and when we say X, Y, and Z, because that language comes directly from some of these research and evidence-based tools. It's one thing to say that it's a quality program. It's another thing to say that I can tell you it's a quality program because I have these indicators that I've been studying and measuring and looking and learning for the past 10 years that shows that young people have access to this experience. It's either they have access to the developmental experiences or not. And the awesome thing is that we live in a world today when we can actually measure those key youth development experiences that young people need to be able to survive and thrive. And of course, if you measure towards something, then you can manage towards something, you can coach towards something. We can all be on the same sheet of sheet music, using the same language to mean the same things when we run out and see programs like Woodcraft Rangers, and be able to identify very surgically whether or not young people have access not only to programming, but I say quality, you say matters. Quality matters. Quality. They have access to high quality learning experiences that they need to survive as well as thrive. So I know that was a soapbox moment, but I'll throw it back to you.
Great. Well, thank you. Well, I know that the Destination Summer Learning Guide is going to be shared, and there's sections on data-driven planning and other resources that connect back to it. So lots to dive into and lots of great resources available from NSLA.
Can I just share that you go into the Destination Summer Learning Guide, the 12 dimensions of summer learning is going to blow your mind, as well as the Clover model, by the way. So I just dropped that right there. We can keep it moving.
Great. Thank you, Brodrick. And I think I get to turn it back to you to take us along to the next segment.
Oh, okay. You turned it back to me. So then I get to steal another moment to talk a little bit about, I'm launching a PLC. I used to run that original PLC back in the days, the one that was around summer school, reimagining what summer school can look like and feel like and sound like. But I'm so excited to talk about and offer a professional learning community that's devoted strictly to people that go out and teach other humans how to serve children to the best of their ability, really diving into youth development practices and principles. And so we have amazing professional learning communities. You actually can join more than one. So I know Dawn Hill is out there. I've seen her somewhere, with the summer youth employment stuff. And I know, folks are working on stuff centered around health and sciences careers. I know that Liz McChesney is around here with our favorite librarians in the country getting together and talking. And so join me. If you're out there, if you're a consultant, remember, I came to NSLA as a consultant. So like that whole world of consulting and how do we navigate this ecosystem and support high quality program at the point of service where it matters the most. I'm launching a PLC that's going to be all about that. So if you have that wherewithal, please join us. Now I want to pivot a little bit because I've been working with a gentleman who I admire and I just appreciate his energy, his spirit, and quite frankly, looking at this young brother is like looking in the mirror. It's hard to find someone who's just as passionate, just as excited, just as capable, just as aware, and ready to rock and roll to bring this information to folks. And so would love for Jamal to kind of join us in the room if he's able. I want to talk a little bit about this thing that we know and love called Destination Summer Learning. We got just a few minutes here, brother. So welcome to the space.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. I was if you don't mind, brother, telling the people who you are, where you hail from, and your connection to this work.
For sure. What's going on, folks? My name is Jamal Williams. I use he, him pronouns, assistant director of training at PEAR. I tell folks that I'm a youth worker who's masqueraded as a variety of things throughout his career, whether it is designing and running service learning programming for middle school youth in New York City, to recruiting young adults to serve as near peer mentors in schools across the country. I've worked in local politics, worked in higher education. Everything comes back to how I can set young people up to be the best versions of themselves. And what I'm really excited to be working with Brodrick and NSLA on is how we can empower and enrich more educators to get into the mix of understanding program quality and also honing their skills as trainers, facilitators, and coaches using the Destination Summer Learning Guide as a tool. So we are in the works of developing a cohort learning experience for folks. We're looking for, I'll say, 15 folks who are really excited about strengthening their skills as facilitators, learning how to really understand and support their programs, the programs most proximate to them, and understanding how to improve program quality and making sure that everything stays centered on people over product, right? We got to make sure that we are taking care of each other so that we can take care of our young people, our families, and our community. So we are cooking some stuff up in the lab. We're real excited. We're going to launch an interest form really soon. So if you are on this call right now and you're like, yeah, I could really get into learning with some like-minded individuals who are committed to program quality, pull up with us. We're excited to get into it and to co-create what I think is going to be a really marvelous and magical experience for folks.
Fantastic, brother. Pull up. I appreciate you. It's a journey for sure, and I'm glad to be sharing that space with you in connection and creation. And so I just would love for everybody to just take a deep breath right now in this moment. Recognize that breath is important, not a regular breath, but the one that goes all the way down to your abdomen. We are a little bit over time-wise, but if you're rocking with us, we appreciate your grace as we try to stuff so much information, as Gil reminded us in his magical 2 minutes, that there's a lot that we have to stuff in. So we appreciate your grace and hanging with us. We're trying to stay on track. We will. But we appreciate you hanging with us and rocking with us. Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Saki. Fantastic. So thank you so much, Jamal, brother. I appreciate you. And please join my new PLC. You can find it at our website at summerlearning.org. And so next up,